Ukrainian troops targeted and destroyed Russian military equipment using anti-tank guided missiles, mortars, and other weapons. Footage begins by showing a Ukrainian soldier firing an anti-tank guided missile, ATGM, at a Russian target before the image shows a Russian war machine being hit. Another Russian military vehicle is also seen burning and being hit by Ukrainian weaponry. The news was obtained from the separate presidential brigade named after Hetman Bohdan Khmelnytsky of the Ukrainian Armed Forces on Tuesday, December 13th, along with a statement that read, "Burn like a candle." The 3rd Mechanized Battalion of the separate presidential brigade turned the invaders' equipment into scrap metal. Coordinated work of aerial reconnaissance, ATGM, SPG-9, and mortar operators. The pictures were also submitted by the ground forces of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th in what the Kremlin still calls a special military operation. Today marks the 294th day of the war. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported that between February 24th and December 14th, Russia lost an estimated 96,000 personnel, 2,970 tanks, 5,937 armored fighting vehicles, 1,931 artillery units, 404 multiple launch rocket systems, 211 air defense systems, 281 combat aircraft, 264 helicopters, 1,617 drones, 592 cruise missiles, 16 warships, 4,562 motorized vehicles and fuel tankers, and 171 units of special equipment. U.S. federal prosecutors say that Russia's Federal Security Service, FSB agents, are among 7 people charged with helping Russia illegally obtain sensitive electronic components from American companies. The electronics are said to have civilian uses, but they can also be used to make hypersonic weapons and nuclear. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said generators were as important as tanks in helping Ukraine survive the winter after Russian President Vladimir Putin targeted the country's energy infrastructure with a wave of missile attacks. President Zelensky told an emergency conference held in Paris that Ukraine would need an additional €800 million to overwinter and an additional €1.5 billion to repair damage done to its energy grid. More than €1 billion was raised to help Ukraine during the winter months at the Paris Aid Conference, according to French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna. The money, which has been pledged by 46 countries and 24 international organizations, will be used to restore some of Ukraine's damaged energy grid, to support the food sector and help with water supply, healthcare, and transport. Heavy fighting was underway between Ukrainian and Russian troops in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk region on Tuesday. Mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko, said that Ukrainian air defense systems shot down 10 Iranian-made Shahid drones today. The global economic powerhouse of the G7 nations vowed to boost Kyiv's military capabilities with a focus on air defense. The G7 nations pledged to help Ukraine after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky appealed to a virtual G7 meeting for modern tanks, artillery weapons, and long-range weapons to counter the invasion and destroy Russia. Zelensky also urged the G7 to help Kyiv to procure an additional 2 billion cubic meters of natural gas in light of Ukraine's dire energy shortage. The energy crisis has left millions of civilians in Ukraine now without power in sub-zero temperatures after Russian airstrikes hit critical infrastructure. Meanwhile, EU foreign ministers agreed to add €2 billion, $2.1 billion to the aid fund as a form of military support for Ukraine. Aid funds for Ukraine have been largely depleted during nearly 10 months of war. More additional funds may be made at a later stage. British Defense Secretary Ben Wallace said he would supply Ukraine with long-range missiles to target launch sites for Russian drones that had hit infrastructure if Russia continued to target civilian areas of Ukraine. The Odessa port on Ukraine's Black Sea resumed suspended operations after Russia used Iranian-made drones to attack two energy facilities.